I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with this channel, and I hate it. But fuck it, we ball. Hi, friends. Welcome back to probably the most inconsistent YouTube channel you will ever come across. Who knows? One day I might post 1 week and post for a month consecutively. Next thing you know, I'm off the fucking face of the earth. I don't fucking know, dilly dallying. And it all comes down to the fact that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing with this channel. I don't know what I'm doing in life. I don't know. I can guess, I can formulate, I can hypothesize, I can plan as far out as I want. But at the end of the day, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And you know what makes me feel so bad about not knowing what the fuck I'm doing? Is that everyone else portrays this like persona of knowing exactly what they want. It's more so I see myself, my less mature self, in a lot of people now. Not to be on a high horse, but fuck it. High ass fucking horse. I don't talk much about my personal life online and the things I've gone through, but people who know me understand me as someone who's very resilient and ahead of the curve in terms of maturity due to my circumstances. Like I had to be mature. And young me saw that as figuring out everything in my life. And in a sense, in my mind, in that reality, I definitely thought I did. But as I actually mature into the world and participate in adulthood, I realized that I don't actually have shit figured out at all. Like literally nada. And I used to be very, and by used to be, I mean like as of 2 weeks ago, I used to be very, very panicked about this. I used to be very unsettled. The only form of safety I ever really knew was within my own mind, my own structure, my planning, my organization. But so much of that has felt so lifeless and useless and hopeless in the past like few months. And I think so many different experiences that have arisen unexpectedly have taught me a lot about that. Where do I even begin? Back to everybody else thinking they have their shit together, but they don't. Social media. We all love to hate on fucking social media, and I will, rightfully so. Even though I make pocket change here and there, I won't act like I'm not a benefactor of social media as it exists. I don't hate social media for social media's sakes. Overall, I would like to see social media as a net positive up until we get to the point where all these oligarchs are gonna buy out every single algorithm and we're gonna be in a surveil state. But you know what? I'm optimistic, but that's a side tangent. It makes it really, really hard to be okay with not knowing what the fuck you're doing. And I think that in terms of like my content strategy, it's all over your face. Everyone's trying to make a personal brand. Everyone's trying to da 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 da. You need a personal brand. You need to package yourself to become palatable to the people and da 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 da. What? Basic marketing, I get it, but something so beautiful as content creation and being able to see such raw, opinionated voices out there, it feels kind of counterintuitive to reroute that into like to a high degree. Social media is very curated, don't get me wrong on that, but to an extensive degree of like, but to a more extensive on a more extensive note, the whole revolutionary aspect of content creation is to stray away from these scripted, curated, branded like media from cable, news, television, whatever, and to express yourself authentically. That's kind of the biggest positive of social media. But when we're moving into this, like, first of all, our economy too unstable for people not to, I get it, like social media can be very powerful, but obviously the whole market is very saturated in terms of like everyone trying to make it out. It's like being an influencer has become the new like SoundCloud rapper of 2026. And you know what, by all means, go ahead, do what you want, like have a passion for it. But the influencing schema has just become another source of advertising, and it's just shoved down our throat all the time, and it's getting really irritating. So like people are pressuring you to constantly know what the fuck you want to do. Like I don't know if y'all get content strategy like videos on TikTok. I personally want to do work in content strategy, marketing, social media, all that stuff, but like not to the price of my soul. And I feel like what a lot of like content strategists focus on are virality and putting yourself out there, but no one ever wants to make authentic art anymore. Like where's the art? You know, when I imagine social media and what we take away with it is the art. It's people expressing themselves, getting reach that they never would have had. But now everyone has to have a brand. Everyone has to have a fucking color palette and be that exact thing and be noticeable as this like Barbie doll, as this fucking packaged Bratz doll for the internet. Social media is already like super invasive if you have like a big following online. It's very hard to be human on social media because you're constantly kind of being surveilled to your own doing, but you would expect people to have a little bit more common sense and common decency when it comes to commenting on people's lives. But it's the nature of the tool, it's the nature of the system. Constant exposure to a person, and especially like the highlights of their life, will make you perceive them in a certain way, and basically like you're incentivizing parasocial relationships, so you feel like you have some sort of authority or right to comment on things that you wouldn't like comment on a stranger that you met online or like a stranger you met in real life. But because of social media, that's okay. The whole idea of fame in general actually is very interesting, but that's a video for another day. Perhaps. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. I don't really care to know. I'm still figuring it out. And I'm okay with that. There's so many sources that will tell you to know it all immediately. And don't listen to them. Part of being in your 20s, part of being young, part of being human is evolving. And to try and put yourself into a cage, you're hindering so much of your potential growth, you know? I have always thought of myself as a very ambitious, brave person when it comes to trying new things. If I know I don't like something, I don't want to continue doing it. So I am very bold to pivot. Aries Mars. I don't care to not pivot. I've recently, this summer, as it comes to an end, as the semester starts, summer is always a very, very reflective time for me. Maybe it's because I'm a summer baby. Maybe it's because my birthday is in July. So happy belated birthday to me. Maybe I just find a lot of peace in not really having to do my usual routine that I do throughout the school year. So it's easier for me to reflect and be honest with myself. This summer, what I feel like it has taught me was that this is low-key just the beginning. This is low-key the beginning of literally figuring it out. Senior year is coming up in college, meaning my life kind of begins, you know what I mean? Like outside of the institution of education and that system of having that routine, having this plan, having this syllabus. Like once I get into the workforce, that's just kind of where I begin. And it's not going to be as easy to pivot. So all of that has just been weighing at me. And it's comes back to this fundamental question of like, what do I want to do? That's what I've been battling this whole summer. Like, what do I want out of me? What do I want to do out of myself? Last summer was very much like unraveling everything. I turned 20 and that really hit a toll on my head. Like a fucking gong was started. I don't know what you do to a gong. Hit. The gong was ringing. The gong was ringing. And it was just kind of like ding dong, ding dong. Like the clock is ticking. Not in a sense that like, oh, I don't have any more time in my life, but like 20, 25. Those are 5 years before my brain, I guess, is at that stage of full development. Until like the concrete will be setted and hardened towards that time of my life. And I don't have that much room to not have my shit together. I look about like a big fear of mine is just living a life that I regret. living a life as such as the people who have done me so fucking dirty, who I think are the most miserable people on the planet. However, they made choices to be there. And I'm so scared of trying to avoid that fate to the point where I literally put myself in that same position. And I'm confident in knowing that I'll get there. I think you just need a few like base skills at a certain age in order to just be like to live a good life, really. Like, I think by the time you're 25, if you cannot develop self-reflection skills, proper empathy, fix your attachment style, and I don't know, have goals, like general goals. Like, it doesn't have to be like be a fucking Fortune 500 CEO, but just have general aspirations and a mission to meaning. I think if you hit all of that by the age of 25, you'll probably be good. You'll be good. And like, I feel like I'm on like I this year genuinely like, and it's as if like when I hit 20, I knew that things were about to swing. So much stuff happened to me within that summer of last year where it's like those were catalysts for different directions that I would have never expect, but I'm so grateful for. That summer, I'll get a little bit personal. I think I was reflecting a lot on I don't really think about like my changes as a person as like specific milestones. I kind of think of them as like continuous things that build upon each other because that's just the nature of human experience. However, there are like core moments where I kind of understood the pivot. Like, I knew that this is what has been happening right now is not working anymore and something is changing. And I'm so grateful to have been a person who's very comfortable with change in the general scheme of things. Like, I'll be anxious as fuck. I'll be sweating, depressed, feeling like, oh, I have to start all over again. But I was never scared to make that initial step. And once I know something isn't right for me, the idea of staying in it literally makes me so miserable that I just like it feels like self-abuse to keep myself in that situation. So last summer, this wig girl, she's getting stiff. Oh, synthetic. So last summer, what even happened? I mean, I was in a place where I was questioning a lot. I was very isolated. I purposefully isolated myself a lot. I was off social media for about like a year and a half, and it was kind of like the end of it. I didn't really like my surroundings or how I was feeling in my environment. And it was an environment that I, prior to that summer, was very sure that I'd stay in. And I viewed that environment, that me, as the trajectory of the rest of my life. When I hit the age of 20, the ripe age of 20, something signaled in my brain that now is time to like make the decisions that you want. Like, you genuinely want. Like, when you view yourself in like your highest capacity, living the best life you possibly can, assuming that, you know, it's within certain morals and values. When you understand your values and you're living a life to the highest capability of those values, you now have the responsibility to work towards that, take actionable steps towards that. And if you don't, it's on you. Granted, I was privileged enough to be in an apartment alone that whole summer, my first apartment, and I love that apartment with all my heart. Like, I will always remember that apartment, even though she was there for a short time and she did make quite a dent in my pocket. It was very necessary because I wouldn't be the person I was today without that space. You know, like being in an environment where you just have no peace, you need like once in your life just like a sanctuary. And that's what my first apartment was. I loved her. She was amazing. So aside from that, it was a lot of changes. Like, spiritually, I made a lot of changes. I was like a practicing Muslim, and then flip of a switch. It was not a flip of a switch, but many people may say it's a flip of a switch. Think what you fucking want. I don't really give a fuck. I think all of that was forthcoming or foretold in a sense. Like, I always knew that change was coming. Those seeds, I look back at it, I'm like, there were many seeds of like deconstruction that were building. And I think that like my time being around, a certain environment didn't really make me feel like I was aligning myself to my values, that highest being of me. That wasn't me. I look back at who I was from like 2024 to 2025, and I'm like, damn, she went through a lot. I do not really resonate with who she is. She's kind of like this enigma in my life where I don't really know where she came from. I think she was just like a necessary step into figuring out what wasn't right. And nowadays, thankfully, like I don't know until I'm dead basically. But nowadays I can look back at, my summer, this past year, how I've been, and I can only really speak well. I don't think there are many things where I think it's like the end of the fucking world or damn, that was a really bad decision to be in. There were definitely a lot of events in terms of my personal life, family life, and all of that was kind of hard to deal with, but a lot of healing came through that. A family member of mine was recently cut off, and this family member was notoriously just a fucking nuisance to us. And it was very hard kind of having to act as if everything was okay, because I understood the cognitive dissonance of it all. I don't fucking like this, but I hear so many people telling me like, oh no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, just get over it, like he's old, blah, 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 blah. And then like to see everyone tell me I was right. A girl who was going to be okay. Like I was gaslit. I won't lie. I'm not gonna what's it called? Sugarcoat that shit. Y'all gaslit the fuck out of me. If you know, you know. But I'm glad that everybody woke up. That was very healing. Seeing kind of like my siblings start their new chapter of life, like they're 4 years younger than me, so we've always been in like one stage behind, and it's like damn, like you guys are literally like doing what I just did, like this cycle of my life that I just did. Because think about it, like high school, college, if I start college they start high school. It's like separate stages, and it's so interesting. And I've learned how much I love like helping. I like helping people, but the way I try to help people is definitely through a more like, I want you to feel seen. I felt very unseen in my life before, and it's not fun. It's really not fun. And like this whole theme, the whole theme of the video is that like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and neither do you, and no one fucking knows what they're doing, and I hate it. But it's the way of life, and being seen through that makes it a lot easier of a transition. So a big thing with, my siblings and my relationship to them is like I try to be there. I'm not the best like communicator in terms of like everyday like, hey, how are you? I think I just get so wrapped up in my own head about shit that like it's hard for me to extend myself or like reach out as much. Even though I tried to, I'm definitely working on it. But like that consistency and reaching out and like having a community around me is foreign. Very foreign. I'm so used to like hating everyone. Not in like some emo way, just like genuinely being around like fucking crazy people. And building that trust within relationships was a big thing for me this year. I also got into my first relationship, like real relationship, boyfriend, and that taught me so much. Y'all don't even fucking understand. Like I was like, wow, like this is the shit I read on like Wattpad and thought that it would be like peaches and cream, but this is also another like very intimate experience of like being with someone, and I love my boyfriend down. And I think like part of that part, being young and in love, it brings out a certain part of you that you don't expect to see, especially when you come from a place of like mistrust, skepticism, and just avoidance. So there's that. And it's trusting my intuition, trusting myself, because that's the one thing about not knowing what the fuck you're doing and the nature of the world just being like a fucking flip of a coin sometimes, most times really. Trusting myself is or trusting yourself, trusting your intuition and letting that guide you, and making sure you have that ability to check in with yourself and what you want, because your circumstances can change at a flip of a coin. But if you're in tune with your values and your personal compass, morally, value wise, whatever, is strong and directed, you will be able to navigate anything you need to navigate. And like leaning onto that internal locus of control, rather than being so ruminous over external aspects, it makes your life just better. It changes your perspective. Like, do your affirmations, do all that shit, journal, but it genuinely does make your life better, because the beneficial side of life being so unpredictable is that very unpredictably good things can happen to you. And I've been someone I'm really bad at like looking at the positives of things, initially at least. Like, if something bad happens to me, I definitely take time to feel my feelings and sit in that doom and gloom for a bit. I try not to ruminate over it anymore, but my instinct is to kind of just lose my fucking mind. But down the line, as you have more practice with it, and as you foster support and opposing intuitive ways, like I'm around a lot of people who are the opposite, where they're seeing life from like a very positive, optimistic standpoint. They're not necessarily seeing it as such a like skeptical, rigid view, which has its benefits. I say that how I am is just in general, I feel like we're all meant to kind of be this puzzle piece and fit in together. No one person can be all things, and that's another thing that I've let go of. Bye. I'm not gonna try and be everything in the world anymore. As much as I want to have all my shit figured out, a lot of it is just by going through experiences and learning as you go. Most of it is, I can't be everything I want to be. Sometimes I just have to be in bad situations where I don't have my shit figured out and fail. And that's something that I just have to get over. My last video was on self-love. Self-respect, self-love, self-trust, all of the above is very important. And I think a spark had reignited for myself. Leo placements, I'm fucking in love with myself. I just love me. But part of knowing that and being in tune with that and tapping in is just practice and, self-dating, self-inquiry. All of that is very relevant. And eventually you will gradually reach to a point where you're in love with yourself enough that like it's hard to imagine why someone wouldn't love you, like for genuine reasons. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you might not be their type, you might not be their type of friend, you might not be, who they picture themselves around you to be. As much as like, we're all a puzzle piece, some puzzle pieces just don't fucking fit together, and that's okay, but that doesn't mean anything about your self-worth. So stand up for yourself, baby girl. I used to never ever stand up for myself, or really like assess the type of people I was around, and like told myself I was valid for cutting off or staying away from X, Y, and Z. As a very empathetic person, I can give a lot of grace, but that grace extends to a very like to a very specific limit, I guess. Like everyone should treat everybody with grace, but when people just kind of when people try to take advantage of that or take that for granted, you're within your right to take it back, because people treat you how you teach them to. How you treat yourself reflects a lot to other people. If I'm treating myself like I'm not worth shit, people are gonna treat me like I'm not worth shit. And also, like, standing on your principles is also very interesting, and it teaches yourself to be like, oh, like you actually will stand 10 toes down for this. We tend to have like a lot of dissonance in trusting ourselves because sometimes we just don't have evidence of showing up for ourselves in the way we expect to. You probably have shown up for yourself in a lot of ways. Whatever like traumatic environment you were in, you built certain tendencies that worked within that environment, and that was you showing up for yourself. But consequently, you're going to be in and out of environments like for the rest of your fucking life. And that adaptability and finding new ways to figure that out is very important. Um, Career aspirations is another thing. I feel like so many people kind of have their shit together in that sense, and people who know me will probably say, "Oh, Ida, be so fucking for real. You always have a fucking plan." But I don't know, I feel behind. I feel like a lot of things that I expected myself to have figured out by now are not. And part of that, like, sadness of it all is that a lot of the things that I'm now aspiring to be in these next few years are things that I originally inspired. I remember was aspired to be in like freshman year of college, and I abandoned a lot of that because at the time I didn't really know how to not abandon myself. Yeah. I will say some of those choices were just kind of like circumstantial, but I probably wouldn't have known all the things I know now if I didn't do that reroute and back to square one, and that's okay. Another reason why it doesn't really fucking matter if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Because those experiences of not knowing what you're doing will either solidify what you originally wanted or throw that out the window. And you don't really know until you know. Like, I was so sure of my career path up until 2024, up until 2025. I was like, I have everything figured out. Like, there's a plan. And then, boom, I figure out I don't fucking like what I'm doing. Like, I liked the usefulness of it. I liked being useful. I liked contributing. I liked the reverence of, the fucking comp sci aero combination. But first of all, aerospace kills millions of babies. Second of all, at least aerospace in America. Second of all, shit low-key lame. I don't fuck with corporate. I don't fuck with like corporate life. I don't really fuck with the 9 to 5 in that traditional sense. I think it's very soul-sucking. I don't think it's good for the average human experience. I don't think it brings fulfillment. I think it's very draining, and it's keeping you on this fucking hamster wheel that is capitalism in America. So I will never like, listen, I will never decredit someone for doing what they gotta fucking do. If you like that shit, I know plenty of people are like perfectly fine with a 9 to 5. And you know what? Good for you. Very good for you. To each their own. I'm not a judgmental person in that sense. But at least how I see it and what I understand as like what would be the most fulfilling, I don't think the 9 to 5 does it. In America, you live to work, not work to live. You know what I mean? You can have like the corporate job, and I'm sure in many countries, especially European ones, I haven't done my research on this, but from the grapevine, I've heard that, work-life balance is a lot more figured out there. Not to mention a lot of them have like basically baby socialism, and they're getting a lot of like the basic needs they need for free. So yes, I think that like it gives a lot more room for the leisure free time of like, actually figuring out what do I want. That's the other part. It's like we don't have time to think for ourselves anymore. And with social media addiction and these predatory ass algorithms and predatory ass like this predatory ass economy, you don't have time to think for yourself. It's just like eat or be eaten. That's what the fucking state of the world is right now. And they want to promote this idea of your dreams are just ahead of you. But if you're like in any sort of like disenfranchised minority in terms of like systems, you're already a step behind. And that's a very large population of Americans. I don't know when this video got political, but everything's fucking political, so I don't give a fuck. I just don't really fuck with the 9 to 5, also because like workers not getting their means of production also means less fulfillment and authenticity in their work. Not authenticity, but like passion in their work. And like anyone who's read basic Karl Marx like economic theory in that sense of like communism, socialism, whatever, understands this. But I'm not going to speak on it too long because I'm not very well read when it comes to that topic. But that's a general like kind of intuitive thing to understand. It's like if I know I'm like a cog in the fucking machine, I'm not going to feel any personal fulfillment and sense into my work, and that can be very draining. You're essentially just being used as a tool. Sure, you're making money, but that money isn't even enough anymore. My whole point was that I'm not going to discredit anyone who wants to do what they want to do, work that 9 to 5, girl, period. Get your office jobs. Like for many people that is like hitting the mark beyond, because a lot of people are in like very disenfranchised communities, or but for me personally, at least, it's not something that I can see myself being happy in. at all. I think that I need to have a personal connection to what I'm doing, or else like I genuinely have no fucking interest in it. Like, get that shit fucking out of my face. Or at least have to have like some sort of, there are very few people I know in my field who like are genuinely about that shit, like genuinely live, love, and breathe engineering. They've been wanting to do this, and for, by all means, like, go ahead, just don't like kill us. Many of y'all do, but it's just so hard that people don't really have that leeway anymore. They don't. There's just general like soullessness in like the corporate pipeline, you know? And they don't give you a lot of resources on how to make it better, because they don't really want it to be better. There goes your administration, government skepticism for the day. Anyways, I've kind of like abandoned the idea of needing to figure it all out. I'm figuring out what I can from what I know, but I don't need to have a 10-year life plan. I can have like a year life plan, you know? I have a lot in my mind, and my ideas, and my up in this noggin on like what I want to do. But I say that with a lot of grace in the planning. Like, if things derail for whatever reason, that's just the way the cookie crumbled, and I have to doozy on out. What are these metaphors? I don't need to like perform a brand. I don't need to perform what I want to do. I can only hope that I'll use this content, whatever, for what I want to do. Like, if anyone like it's so weird being in like an environment where everyone is kind of has this mentality that I had last year. Like, when I got my internship for the summer, I was very locked in the sense that I thought this was like the plan. I had a lot prepared. I went very prepared into it, and the attitude I had going when the summer started, I was already disinterested in the field. I was debating even like going through with the internship, but like, you know, it was a general net positive, so I wasn't gonna turn it down. What the fuck? But it is a very interesting, like, I don't know, I don't even think I was that disciplined this summer, but the locked in I would have been, or would have been crazy if I actually fucked with what I was doing. But all that reminds me is that, you know, there's gonna be something that I do like, and I know I have these abilities. I know I have the ability to like really stretch myself out there, and that's what I plan on doing, getting into more creative spaces, getting more into the art and fashion world. You know, knock on wood, mashallah, don't even give me fucking evil on that shit. But I personally have a lot planned that I'm ready to venture into, and that's okay. That's okay. I don't really have like specific set of goals, because part of me just wants to feel like a wildflower. Like, I want my life to feel like just like throwing wildflowers in the garden and figuring it out from there, because there's a lot of beauty in that, in a society and in a state where so many things are so like hyper curated and algorithmized. I cannot say that word. So many things are like hyper curated and algorithmic and, you know, optimized. Like, I fucking hate the word optimized right now. I used to be very like pro optimization. Like, I need to optimize everything in my life. And I remember having a conversation with a roommate of mine, and like looking back at it, I'm like, what the fuck was I saying? Not gonna lie. If you're watching this, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. But the exhaustion that comes with optimizing shit is like insane. Like, if you want to make it analogous to computer optimization, there's a lot of work that goes into it, you know, and you're always trying to optimize to an end state. But when it comes to like optimizing human existence, like, what is the end goal? Like, what are you optimizing for? And it's like, oh, you're optimizing for more like time in your life. And I'm like, sure, but it just seems like a lot of y'all just really want to fucking work. Like, y'all just want to distract yourself and work for the rest of your lives and not really be present with yourself, because you're so used to being distracted by everything. You don't want to really actually spend that time with yourself, that free time, because you're going to find something else to optimize and fill up all your time with all these subsystems. I'm purely speaking personally at this point and projecting everything that I've ever talked to, so it doesn't apply to you. Like, I don't really care, like, but anyways, you're distracting yourself with all these subsystems so you don't have to experience life. That's what, like, you cannot optimize human existence because you're supposed to fucking experience it. Like, it's not meant to be optimized. It's not. I'm talking about, like, personal human experience, like living your life. You're not supposed to optimize living your life. Given the systems that you're placed in and wanting to make better for yourself, yes, but the end goal should always be to live a good life. If that means optimization for you, like, shit, like, fuck, I don't really care that bad. But generally speaking, a lot of people will just distract themselves. I think, like, this present in, like, so many different areas or, like, eras of life. How is this video already 40 minutes? I swear to God, I don't even try to make videos this long. I feel like I can see this in, like, very many different, like, phenomenas that have happened over the past, like, decade. What comes to mind is, like, debate bros. And I don't really know where this connection is coming from, but hear me out. Debate bros, philosophy bros, whatever. As much as I love philosophy, I've never, like, tried to optimize philosophy. like I feel like a lot of debate bros, a lot of, like, online modern day philosophers what they do is they tend to, like, intake so much knowledge, theory, whatever, in order to optimize and crack down their life. But a part of, like, what this means too, and it's very interesting, like, because a lot of, like, debate philosophy bros will, like, shit on continental philosophy. A lot of, and what I think, like, what continental philosophy tends to call for is, like, the actual, like, experiences, the lived experiences that are, you know, that we're philosophizing in the first place, that we're deducting all this truth and logic from. They work in tandem, but they're missing the, like, experience part. You know what I mean? Like, I think when I was, like, heavy into philosophy, it was, like, me trying to figure out life so I can optimize it. That may not be your personal goal. To each their own. Don't be in my comments talking about some bean soup right now. But it's what's the point of it? It's kind of obsolete knowing that you don't really have a life to live after knowing all this philosophy. But there's just more of a recent thought. There are plenty of examples that I can probably concure or I can concoct, but yeah. What else to talk about on this channel? I think trying to optimize your feelings is probably, like, the biggest inhibitor to just, like, living life. Because what the fuck are you talking about? And often when I'm speaking so, like, bluntly in this way, or, like, not even, like slightly harsh, I'm more so, like, talking to my previous self. Like, just so y'all know, this is my fucking channel, and a lot of the shit I'm gonna be talking about is probably, like, projection of personal experiences. If you relate to it, great. I'm so happy that you're able to, you know, key with me. But if you don't, it's not for you. Optimizing your feelings. Let me read this shit that I had on my phone. Hold up, because I was cooking. Uncomfortable in bad situations, because this was, like, a feeling I had because of some bullshit. I'm uncomfortable in a bad situation because emotions make me feel like I lose a choice. I'm so blinded by the idea that I'm not perceiving this neutrally, so that I have to be as rigid as possible, which defeats the whole experience. And if that's the goal, that's fine, but that doesn't lead to a holistic, fulfilling life. Example of feeling hurt by an action that may be intentional or bad. More so a trigger, maybe. I don't know what I was really writing. This was in the back of my Uber. I tend to get really frustrated when I'm not immediately understood because I don't understand myself, and it's puts me in a state of spiral because I just want to get back to safety, stability, or more so predictability. Another part is the fear. I feel so scared that I'm going to allow myself to continue to be hurt or taken advantage of by not having clarity. But I can't get clarity by avoiding my emotions or triggers because that's the fundamental information I need. After my most recent spiral, I started to understand a bit clearer that the certainty of clarity I was looking for wasn't going to dissolve because I didn't tend to it immediately. It was there, but I had to go through the proper motions to understand it. And this fear of looking stupid and losing something in the negative case that I was/am being hurt is just a fear because you can't really lose anything, at least internally. In those clear states, I understand that whatever happened to me has happened to me, and whatever decision I choose moving forward with a mind to own, or whatever decision I choose moving forward is mine to own and all the power I need. To summarize, it's really not like that serious. That's not the point. The point is like, what is the point? Can you find it? The point is that you cannot optimize your feelings, your triggers, your wounds. They're there, and you tend to them. You give time for them to heal. Putting a band-aid on a fucking open slash isn't really gonna help you, is it? You can put in the care of, I've lost the analogy like eons ago, but you can put in all that care and effort for a proper healing, but you don't have to pretend like the wound is not there. This video is getting really long, and I'm not gonna have a lot of fun editing it. New hair though, for the YouTube folks who haven't seen it yet. Thank you for 100 subscribers. Like, what the fuck? Like, I feel so giddy just like knowing 100. Like, imagine 100 people in this room right now. I'd be overwhelmed as fuck. 100 people were at a club that I was at, and it was popping. So imagine, like, I just like to think of like this channel as like a club, like a socialite. You know what my career aspirations are? To be a socialite. That's it. I have no other. I'm kidding, but thank you. The message of today though is that no one has their shit together. Stop trying to optimize your life. Everyone sucks. No one knows what they're doing. Live your life. Be hot. Be fun. Do what is within your own values, as long as they're at a moral standpoint of not, fucking up somebody else's life and stopping them from living their life. And I'll see you guys next week. In terms of my Substack, something interesting that's in the cooks and the works. I want to publish like a 5 article like combo, and it's gonna be very deep to me. It doesn't really have anything to do with like analysis or commentary on the world. I've strayed away from that a lot because I don't really care. I mean, I care, but I don't care to talk about it online or on social media because TikTok is brain dead. I love it for information, but I'm very distant from that like online talk space community, because that's like originally where I got all my followers from. But I fucking hate it because we're all just talking in circles and it's not productive. It's not fun. I think like at the end of the day, I rather post mainly on YouTube, upload that shit to TikTok, and have people like move towards long form content if they can and will do so. Otherwise, I have no interest in partaking in it, and it also rots the fuck out of my brain. Like, I genuinely, like, TikTok literally drains me, but I post on there, so, and everything is censored. Can't really talk your shit on there because you know who owns it. But yes, it's gonna be like it's about identity. In the same way being 20 kind of woke me up into like figuring out like what I want for myself. Being 21, or like that year up until, was the biggest theme, was identity and reconstructing that, because you kind of need like that base foundation of like, who am I? What do I value? What do I want out of this? And what experiences have shaped that? And what do I want to abandon versus what do I want to integrate? And just kind of starting that fresh chapter and like therefore experiencing life as such. So look out for that for those who are watching to the end. It's gonna be real. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be sad. You guys are gonna see parts of my mind that I don't really admit. I'm making it sound like very emo, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys eventually. See you eventually. I'm not gonna make any promises this time because every time I do, I jinx myself and I do not make videos for weeks at a time. I literally had a video recorded last week. Tried to upload it. I might still upload it. I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah. Bye, Swag Nation.